We've seen just a tremendous boom in housing prices. Stocks and cryptocurrencies are going nuts. We've got all sorts of things kind of looking like just like an everything bubble almost. Does any of this have you concerned?
It all has me concerned at a personal level for sure. Absolutely, it's concerning, and I think everyone that is an investor today should be worried about it. It feels like bubble territory.
I am very excited to have with me Kyle Floyd, CEO and chairman of Vox Royalty. Kyle, how's everything going?
Stormy, fantastic. Really good to be with you today.
I appreciate you getting up early with me today also. I know there's a 2 hour time zone difference, but I do really appreciate it.
Absolutely, no worries on this side.
So there's a couple things I want to talk to you about, specifically the economy and everything in the state of things right now before we kind of jump into speaking about your company a bit further. There's quite a bit of stuff that's going on right now. In 2020 and 2021, just the quantity of currency creation alone, I think it's equating to something around the ballpark of 20% of all the currency ever created. And at the same time, we've seen just a tremendous boom in housing prices. Stocks and cryptocurrencies are going nuts. We've got all sorts of things kind of looking like just like an everything bubble almost. Does any of this have you concerned?
It all has me concerned at a personal level for sure. And I'm sure we'll talk about Vox Royalty Corp coming up, but because I think, gold is for a time such as now. While I'm concerned, I think, a lot of the appropriate kind of precautions have been taken from a wealth preservation perspective. But yeah, absolutely, it's concerning. And I think everyone that is an investor today should be worried about it. I mean, to me, at a personal level, it seems it was funny. I watched The Big Short again just a couple of weeks ago. It's a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
But it really feels like a 2006, 2007, 2008 all over again.
Oh, yeah.
And if you look at what happened to gold on the backside of that, it was one of the most significant times for gold and price appreciation in gold. And so it really does feel like we're on a very similar trajectory, just in terms of where the macroeconomic backdrop is right now and what's happening. Like you said, 20% of all currency that's ever been created has been created in the last couple of years. And look, I think gold is for a time such as now. So yes, it's very concerning, but I think there are things that investors can do that can put themselves in a good position to be successful no matter what happens.
Now, to talk about that a little bit further when it comes to investments, I mean, now we're starting to see, there's an uptick in IPOs, but now these NFTs and meme stocks, which is just, it took me a while to kind of wrap my head around NFTs. The meme stock stuff is just absolutely crazy. And then we've got cryptocurrencies kind of going all over the place. Let me ask you, and we're going to get into Vox for sure. Royalty and stream investing. Why is that so attractive to potential investors?
Yeah, I'll talk about kind of the first half of what you detailed first. And I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm not a stock market prognosticator, so this is just personal opinion. That's all it is.
Yep.
It feels like bubble territory. When people are investing in meme stocks, not because of company fundamentals, when you have cryptocurrencies at all-time highs and it's a very speculative form of investing, many hedge fund managers have come out in the recent past and really cast doubt on what cryptocurrencies look like. They'll probably always be around, but should they carry the values that they have? So all the conversations around the markets right now, if you go back to 2006, 2007, and the early part of 2008, it feels like we're in that exact same situation.
Yeah.
And if you look at the performance that royalty companies generated through that time and on the heels of that period of time was really almost astonishing in terms of the gains that were made by royalty companies over that period of time. Royalty companies are a safer form of investment than owning a mining company. And that's just by the nature of the structure and the assets that royalty companies are acquiring and have built a portfolio around. But it feels like we're in that period of time again. And it makes sense. Look, 2006, 7, 8, that was now a long time ago.
Yeah.
We really haven't had that kind of market since then. So history repeats itself. I think it's one of the benefits of having a lot of experience being in the mining industry now for more, well over a decade, is you can start to see the similarities and cycles, and you can really prepare yourself as an investor if you're paying attention to it and are in a situation where you can get some of this information distilled for you as well.
Now, you touched upon a couple of things. I mean, you've referred to the 2006 to 2008 time period where we had that bubble that burst and we had the Great Recession. And that is mainly in part one of the reasons that my channel exists, is because I see a lot of value in owning physical assets like silver and gold. You started kind of talking about yourself being in the industry for at least 10, 12 years. I'm curious about your background and what drove you to finding Vox Royalty.
Well, I ran the money investment banking platform for a group called Roth Capital. And I remember the day in 2008 when Bear Stearns was blowing up very, very well, because we were all huddled around a little TV on our investment banking floor. And it felt like the earth was shaking underneath us. And the reality was it was probably one of the most interesting times that any of us have lived through. And Vox was really created because of that experience, like you and your platform. It was an understanding that it really kind of crystallized 3-4 years later. Mm-hmm. The company was formally incorporated in 2014. But investors should have exposure to commodities. Gold went on an epic run from that period forward for the next 5-6 years. And investors are not brought up to speed on precious metals very often. It's your platform and others that I think do a really good job at distilling some of the information that needs to be out there for investors to consider. But how do you do that? How do you get that? There's physical, which I think is the most safe, secure form of investment that investors can have in their portfolio, and that should be a part of everyone's portfolio. And then there's the equities attached to the precious metals as well. And when it came to the equities, mining companies are really hard to understand. It's really, if you're not a mining engineer, if you're not a geologist, you haven't been investing in the space for the better part of the last 2 decades, it's a really tough industry. Mm-hmm. And the risk-adjusted returns are really poor, to be honest. Where royalty companies, because they get the benefits of diversification, they get the benefits of a better risk-adjusted structure in what is a royalty agreement, which means it's a portion of the revenue that's generated. We're not impacted by any of the cost structures, but we get pretty much the same upside as a mining company. That's a better risk-adjusted exposure, and that's what Vox was created to achieve for investors. Give investors an opportunity to invest in something at an early stage that generated better risk-adjusted exposure for them in a time such as this. And so Vox was created to do that for investors, and we've achieved our mission, and we still have a long ways to go.
So speaking about that mission, do you mind telling us some of the projects and deals that you presently have established and some of the things that are kind of in the pipeline for you?
Yeah, and to put it in context for your viewers, we have been the fastest growing royalty company over the last 3 years. And that's driven by competitive advantages we built in buying royalties all around the world. So we buy third-party royalties. We don't finance mining companies, which over history has been a very risky proposition and has not generated very good risk-adjusted returns. Contrary to that, we're a royalty company. Royalty companies have outperformed. And we believe we distilled the value that a royalty company brings to the table for investors better than anyone else, maybe ever. And where and how we've done that is we built competitive advantages to be able to deliver that for investors. We have a proprietary database of 8,000 royalties that we both purchased and built. We have deal sourcing agents all around the world that we've been cultivating and building for the better part of the last decade. And then complementing that is a very technical team in the form of mining engineers and geologists that really do the hard work and the heavy lifting for investors that don't have the sophistication in mining. Mm-hmm. And what that's enabled us to do is find deep value in great royalties all over the world. We have a portfolio of 55 royalties and streams, and we have an abundance of streams that are coming into production. So we went public in May of last year. Most people do not know about us. We had 1 production stage asset. We now have 5 production stage assets. We're expecting to double that level of production stage assets over the next 12 to 18 months. And that number of producing assets has us looking like a major mining company if you have more than 10 production stage assets. Meanwhile, we trade at a small micro cap fraction of that. And so there's obviously a lot of growth on the table. So to answer your question succinctly, we have growth coming in all forms, all throughout the portfolio with additional acquisitions. So I don't think it's ever been a more exciting time to be an investor in Vox.
So before we recap, one of the things that a lot of my subscribers do like is they like to know about the share structure for a particular company. Do you mind sharing with us what the share structure is like for Vox Royalty?
Yeah, I think it's a very important thing for investors to consider. And what you'll find in Vox is I think it's a very favorable share structure and cap table. So we have no debt. We have about 39 million shares outstanding. We've actually been buying back our stock, and management owns 15%. Management and insiders own essentially more than 30% of the business. And if you include our founding group of investors who have no interest in selling any stock, really it's a pretty close group of shareholders that equates to somewhere north of 60% of the shares outstanding. And so we're a very tightly held stock. And we have I believe it's about 5 million warrants outstanding that strike at 450 on average. So much, much higher than the current stock price. So it's really, I believe, one of the better cap tables in the industry. And also, just for your viewers, when we went public in May, we actually had to forward split our stock, which I can attest to in the mining industry or the commodity industry happens very rarely. But that was just because we've been very disciplined in terms of allocating capital. We've kept a very tight share structure. And it's, I believe it's going to generate some very significant returns for investors.
Kyle, I really do appreciate the time. I actually have all of the company information down below in the description. I have the ticker symbol on the screen. To all of my viewers, please make sure that you check out Vox Royalty. And Kyle Floyd, CEO and Chairman, I really do appreciate your time today.
Likewise, Stormy, it's been a pleasure to be with you. Really excited about where this company is going. For your viewers out there, we've done the heavy lifting for you. It's the best format to invest in the commodity sector outside of precious, owning physical. It's got precious exposure that I think everyone should have out there. And we've made a very concerted effort in terms of building the value for shareholders that is not yet reflected in the share price. I believe that's coming. So it's a great time to be hearing about the Vox story. And Stormy, thank you for the opportunity.
Of course, absolutely. I appreciate you. And we will do another one of these in the near future. I want to hear more about the ongoing success.
Terrific. That sounds great.
And I would like to quickly thank these elite channel supporters. And if you haven't already become a channel member, please check out the awesome perks and join today. With that, this is Empire Precious Metals. Until next time, long live the Empire.